Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. I'm going to go as fast and concise as possible. I'm going to get down to brass tacks on the first two stories because they are important, and I will, in addition to that, bring you back to a video I did yesterday because Ripple released two videos today that are exactly what I talked about, so that is interesting timing. There was a first ever in blockchain for Japan today, and I will share something personal, which I almost never do, and I have a really good fluff story for you. So the first one might have some XRP holders worried, but I'm going to tell you this is an example of how the West doesn't fully cover what is happening here in Japan, and or maybe they just cover it in a way to make it look as if something you need to click on because it is being built up to be bad news, and it's not bad news. So this is Ripple, first bank in Japan to cancel cooperation with MoneyTap powered by Ripple Tech. I've even seen some of the words like the relationship has been terminated. Well, let me explain this in a little bit more detail. So RaceOna Bank is one of the three banks that originally agreed to participate with SBI and the software application for mobile phones called MoneyTap, and it's built by Ripple Technology. Well, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's paying attention to this space when we go on page 32 of the investor relations for RaceOna Bank. This is their annual report. We knew that they were building a smartphone app. They were going to make it so that people could pay their taxes and bills. And they went on to say that they are going to build an electronic settlement API. It would be called the RaceOna Wallet, and they plan to launch it after testing. Well, it wasn't but about a year to the day that they made that announcement. It was February 2019 that the API had been built and they were going to roll this out. So in nowhere that I can find in Japanese or English does it ever talk about being built on blockchain. I think this is absolutely inferior technology, especially when they see the MoneyTap roll out into the international remittances. I think it's going to totally leave RaceOna behind. Maybe they're totally happy with staying domestic. I'm not sure, but I don't see anything that would tell me that this application is going to be more used. I think I went to dinner last night with a friend of mine, and he works for Tokyo Star Bank, and he showed me a new payment app on his phone called PayPay. And I asked him, why did you sign up for it? And he said, they have a huge campaign. They're going to give me $500 back if I can meet their maximum purchase amount. And I said, well, what are you going to buy? And we were talking. And when we went into detail, he has 6 different payment apps on his phone. And what it's coming down to is once the infrastructure is built, it is going to be very competitive, like we see the exchanges in grabbing market share. They're going to come out up with a lot of different campaigns like a points back or a discount or a partnership where you can use coupons for maybe air miles, etc. So this particular RaceOna wallet doesn't even have the stores in place. It's coming. So they are way behind and they have a long way to catch up. Now, if we take a look at news that came out just about 3 weeks ago, we learned that 13 new banks were going to come and participate with MoneyTap. So these banks that are coming now have skin in the game. They are actually coming with money as an investment to participate. RaceOna didn't have money. They just basically casually said, yeah, we'll participate. And then they decided to try to carve out their own market share on their own. And, good luck to them. I don't see that it's any real big loss, to tell you the truth, because one of the banks that came with investment is 7bank, and they are part of the 7&I Holdings. They have 25,000 ATMs inside the 7-Eleven stores here in Japan. This is a big partner, and it's one that I think is going to really make this MoneyTap very successful. So there you have it. Okay, the next story I want to get down to brass tacks on is the IMF. They are in the middle of their spring event where they are in Washington, D.C., having some really very good speakers and panel discussions. And if you are interested in what they're talking about but don't have time to listen to all of the discussions, you can go to the Twitter site here, which is IMF Live. They have very good still shots with some catch copy to tell you what the topics are, what the highlights were, and yeah, it's quick takeaways as to what's going on. But the one I really want to talk about is this one here with Christine Lagarde, and she had a subject called the money and payments in the digital age. Now, first, I really want to explain briefly the difference between the IMF and the World Bank. I think people are a little confused, and rightly so, because they're very closely linked. They both started in 1944 by the same person. Originally, the IMF was there to oversee the fixed exchange rates and to promote trade through stability, along with providing short-term loans to countries struggling to pay their debts. Now, the World Bank originally was set up to give financial assistance to countries who were rebuilding after World War II. And then in 1971, Nixon unpegged gold from the US dollar, and it basically dissolved the fixed exchange rate system. So the IMF then began fighting national crisis around the world, and they keep tabs on the global economy, putting economic policy in place at times through the member countries. Both the IMF and the World Bank have 189 member countries. And now you find the World Bank is basically focusing on developing by reducing poverty. And they do that through providing funds and resources. So it's interesting, the World Bank has 10,000 employees. They are funded by bonds that they sell to global investors. I think they have somewhere in the neighborhood of 59 billion in committed lending as of 2017. And then you have the IMF that is only 2,700 employees, and they are funded by quotas. And those quotas come from the members. US, Japan, China, and Germany give the most to that IMF fund. So I think they receive somewhere around 675 billion. So it's really, they work separately, but still very, I think, close in terms of communication. Now, the IMF is realizing that there is fragmentation, and that fragmentation comes by way of banks being able to make their own decisions for what technologies they want to use. And the takeaways from this panel was that everybody felt that banks are here to stay. And they also said that payment costs will go down to zero. Europe right now is charging 2 cents per transaction, so you basically can get 500 transactions in just €1. The central banks are not there in the world to direct or steer other banks. They are basically there to evaluate risk. Now, the only time that we saw a big division is when there was this discussion of whether there was trust in going centralized or decentralized. And it's very interesting. One of the panel members was from JP Morgan, and her name is Sarah Youngwood, and she absolutely said that banks were far more trusted than IT. And I thought that was pretty funny statement considering today a new report came out from Better Markets, and it's a vital understanding to the full scope of what's unfolded since the global financial crisis. And you can see all of the legal actions, how much in fines and settlements have come to these institutions, along with 8.2 trillion in bailouts. And if people who have access to information can see the JP Morgan Chase numbers, I don't think this leads to much trust. Well, I do want to talk about the special drawing rights, because at the 38-minute mark of that panel discussion, it was very interesting. Jeremy Allaire, who's the CEO of Circle, talked about Facebook, and they are raising, $1 billion supposedly in venture capital to create a global digital reserve currency, or a stable coin. And it's not coming, this isn't science fiction, he says, and it's not coming in the far future. This is coming very fast. Now, if you look at what a SDR is, these special drawing rights, they are supplementary foreign exchange reserve assets. They are maintained by the IMF, and they're based right now on a basket of key international currencies. Every 5 years, the IMF reviews this. They've been doing so since 1969, and they supplement the member countries' reserves. So remember, that is part of the IMF's responsibility, is to aid in those countries that are having a financial crisis. And Jeremy says that the digital SDR, and then, you could see Christine Lagarde, she perked up and said, "Oh, the digital SDRs, interesting," she says. He says, technically, they are possible and functional in the world in the next 12 to 24 months. So this is why a lot of people who own XRP are paying attention to the space, because there is a lot of talk about XRP becoming that neutral SDR. Now, this is from the World Forum Organization. It's an article that was written last year, and it's about a digital currency should be adopted as the world's leading reserve currency. And when we come down in the article, the whole article is good, but I'm going to read you just the part that I think will make sense. A key hurdle for the SDR has always been to geopolitical interest and priorities of the reserve issuing central banks. This is so true. DNI, Digital Nomad Investor, had a talk about the IMF tonight, and he really highlighted the fact that this is very geopolitical, and he is correct. So not just the US, but also to the Eurozones, China, Japan, and the United Kingdom. But the advent of cryptocurrencies may offer another way. The private sector can work directly with central banks to create a digital SDR to use as a unit of account and store of value. Interesting, huh? Such as an eSDR, electronic special drawing rights. And this would, in a sense, be the quintessential reserve asset, because it would be fully backed by reserve currencies in the IMF determined ratio. The supply of the electronic SDRs would be completely dependent on market demand. It's just interesting. So this is where I think for the holders of XRP, these IMF discussions are very interesting. Okay. All right. I'm going to take you to my card that I had yesterday. I talked about Southeast Asia, the hotbed of growth. And it's interesting. I don't know. I think this video wasn't as popular as some. It should be if you were paying attention to this space, because Southeast Asia is on fire. The adoption of new fintech is faster than any other place in the world. And Ripple, the Singapore office, is doubling in size. 50% of all their customers come from this region. And it was part of that panel discussion that talked about why countries in the Southeast Asian region and also Africa is coming to change so quickly. They are going 100% digital because they don't have these legacy systems in place prior, and they don't have any baggage. So the new technology is being immediately adopted. And here is one of the videos that was uploaded today by Ripple. It is, wow, a very short article or a very short video. I'm going to just, it is, there's two of them. I'll put links down in the comment section below. The first one is by the VP of Disruptive Technology. What a title, huh? Wouldn't you want to be a VP of, wow, there's two of me. How did that happen? Wow, so strange. Oh my gosh, there's three of me now. Oh my gosh, I can't move it. Okay, I want to keep it moving. You're just going to have to deal with a 3-image circle of moving parts. Okay, he's the VP Disruptive Technology of the Siam Commercial Bank, and he says that Ripple is a core partner. And in 2017, it was SBI in Japan, the SBI Remit, where they learned so much. And through those 30,000 ATMs that they coordinated with, they were able to use the multi-hop and made it possible for all the people who are originally from Thailand but working outside of Thailand to send money home. And then the second video, which I'll put a link to, is Thomas Tan Kok Kyong, and he is from the CIMB Bank in Malaysia. He's head of global sales, FX, and transaction banking, and he was 11 years prior with Citibank and 6 years actually with Standard Chartered. He said that there is a huge mutual benefit to be a partner with Ripple, that they will allow those flows to go back in his camp and then into the Ripple camp, and that it is really a great solution. Because if you understand the problems of nested transactions, these are the ability to correctly be able to call back a transaction. The visibility is so bad from the top to the bottom in a database structure, but the Ripple technology provides that solution. Okay, let's see if I can get myself to go down to 1 here. Actually, I'm going to show you a picture here. This is what I wanted to share with you. This is actually me last summer with the, I think, the very first Blockstack meetup group. Only 4 of us. There is, in this picture, you see somebody from Egypt, somebody from Japan, somebody from America, and somebody from India. That just is showing how wonderfully diverse this space is. Anyway, I'm very attracted to any decentralized project out there, and I, thanks to one of my friends who's really deep in with Blockstack, I went to this meetup, and I just had a really great time learning. And what I saw today in one of the headlines is that Blockstack has really captured the headlines. This is an article from Cointelegraph. It should pop up here soon. Here we go. Blockstack eyes SEC regulated 50 million token sale with the participation from Harvard Endowment. I want to tell my friend congratulations. I haven't talked to him yet, but I'm sure this is just the best news. So it will be the first SEC regulated ICO for the decentralized Blockstack platform. and should it be successful, Harvard has said that they are going to participate. Let me see, it's a huge amount of tokens. So they are going to purchase an aggregated amount of 95 million stacks tokens. That's just an unbelievable number. So yeah, here it is here. The Harvard Management Company, Capital and Foundation Capital, respectively, limited partners of the QP fund, which have purchased an aggregate of 95 million tokens. Wow. So I think it has to still be approved, but if the sale is approved, then the Harvard Endowment Fund, along with others directly involved in this purchase. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's big news. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you because this space is, this space is changing right before our very eyes. It is changing, maybe not fast enough for some people. It's changing very fast, though. So I think for those people who wish to cash out already, it seems to be dragging on, but it is growing steadily and really at remarkable speed. I just want to tell everyone without preaching that you need to enjoy this journey, and it will only come once. This is a lifetime opportunity to experience these changes. It'll never be repeated. So I don't want to preach about having patience. And if it's going too slow for you, then maybe it's best to find something else to pay attention to. But the change that's happening in front of my eyes is very exciting. All right, here is a first only in Japan with blockchain. So there was Japan's first blockchain real estate transaction recorded by Propy. Propy is the company that connects very interesting properties, and you can pay by crypto. And for Japan, it just happened, and I want to show you the actual property that was purchased. It was purchased by I think a conglomerate out of Hong Kong, but it was an undeveloped piece of land up in Hokkaido near a ski resort. Here you can see, this is a summertime shot, of course, but you can see the ski resort here on the hill. And the interesting thing is, look at the view. Wow, from the resort. Beautiful, huh? I think it sold for $644,000. I don't know how large the property actually is. It doesn't look that large, does it? Well, it was just a little over $500,000. All right, everybody, we are moving to the fluff. This story is about Uejima. They are one of the places in Japan that produce very beautiful, high quality cultured pearls. And these pearls are, very, very special, actually. They make a brand pearl from this area called Ubudama. And they take 2 years to cultivate. Usually the pearls can be cultivated in just 1 year, but these are cultivated every 2 years. They're done in the wintertime because that's when they have the best luster for the finish. And there's only 1% of all those that are opened that actually can hit that high quality and be called an Ubudama. Really, really beautiful. Look, it ranges all the way from kind of a bluish black pearl all the way to these beautiful pink tones and kind of a cream colored. Just really, really gorgeous. So that's not exactly, though, the fluff. The fluff is all about this region has a contest every year, and it's a letter of love contest. So when you celebrate your 30th wedding anniversary, the pearl is the gift of that anniversary. You have you have the golden anniversary at 50 years, you have the silver anniversary at 25, but the 30th anniversary is pearl. So this particular region that has this beautiful pearl farming has a contest, and you can submit your letter of love, which is about your partner. Yeah. And they will choose 3, total of 6 people, and provide a ceremony for you in the way of a wedding ceremony, and also kind of a weekend holiday getaway that comes with some pearl accessories. And it's just, I think, so beautiful. The love letters are so beautiful, so pulling the heartstrings. The last year's winner, somebody talked about how when they went through the crash of the Japanese financial bubble, that his wife was so supportive, and he wrote the beautiful love letter to his wife. And also somebody who went through the tsunami and earthquake wrote a letter about his wife. And also the third person actually was a gentleman who had a pretty severe illness in the hospital, and wrote a really touching letter about the support his wife gave. And then this is actually from a video of another year, and the wife is reading her letter. And you don't even have to understand Japanese. If you just see his emotion and his face, and how he is holding back the tears when his wife is reading this letter, it makes you cry. So I wanted to tell everybody that carpe diem, grab the moment, write a love letter to somebody significant in your life. Take this moment. Yeah, I can't watch this video, it makes me cry. All right, everybody. Whew, that's all I have for you today. Do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.